You boob.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Test.
Where's my notification?
Is this microphone on?
Potentially.
Oh, it's picking up there. Okay.
All right. I'm going to go for it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce. I am your runner. Welcome back to another live stream. And we're going to wait for just a minute for YouTube to catch up. Because YouTube might not want to catch up. And I have an incredibly bright light in front of me.
You should redo that intro. That was weak sauce, my guy. You're always so like...
I am your runner, and this is the most esteemed and famed RDD Airsoft Works, also known as...
Ross. I'm going to shut the volume off.
Yes, shut the volume off.
All right.
Guys, it's been a while since the last live stream. I apologize. Life has been... And that's not a bad thing, actually. It's a very, very good thing. And we're already losing stream. Yeah, we just went dark.
Awesome. It's not raining this time, my guy.
I don't know.
You look visibly broken. What's that?
Hardwire.
Ah.
Which shouldn't fail, but it did. All right. I'm going to go for it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce. I am your runner. All right. Took it off my hardwire and put it back on my Wi-Fi, which Wi-Fi should not run better than my hardwire unless my hardwire is broken. So that could very well be a thing. Oh my god. If my hardwire is broken, I'm going to be mad because I just bought that.
Oh, it happens. Did we get the circuit out yet?
I don't know. Dude, YouTube is broken at my house.
YouTube, medic! Medic!
All right. Shane's Adventure is in the chat. But I got the green light, so we're going to go for it. All right, so I am sorry. It's been months since I've done a live stream. As always, what are we doing on the channel? Guys, I'm going to be continuing with my Chernobyl 6 gameplay that just started. When did that start? I just started the Chernobyl 6 series this week. I have 2 more videos from Chernobyl 6, which was an absolute blast. And then from now on, I'm just going to try to resume normal podcasts on Friday as much as I can and keep gameplay going. This weekend, I am not playing because I am preparing for a barbecue, which this guy is invited to.
Thank you.
I
feel so loved.
I am running off of very little sleep today, so my energy level's a little less than normal. But what we are here to talk about is what you see in front of us right now, and that is my G36C that RDD Airsoft Works built for me. I cannot tell you how excited I am about having Bludhaven up and running.
Full disclosure, I'm not a father, but according to the comments section, I have many unspoken for children.
Yes, you have many unspoken for children. All right.
Oh,
also, as always, guys, towards the end of the show, we are going to do Q&A. Try to do the last 15, 20 minutes or so as Q&A. God, I am tired today, and that light is bright.
Go dim it.
Oh, yeah, we can dim it, can't
There's
we?
a dimmer switch.
Oh.
Give that a shot. See how that works. Or just actually, oh, there. Holy crap, you can see. My guy.
Oh.
All right, I'm awake now. Let's do this. We're going to mulligan this and go round 2, shall we?
Yeah, no, I'm good with that. I don't know what happened.
Wake up, Royce.
I'm trying, man. The week caught up with me, man. It was a fun week. It was a hectic week at work. There was a lot going on.
Hey,
all right,
Skylar.
and now that we're not completely whited out by the intensity of that light.
Your wife's light is powerful. Like, dang.
Yeah, that thing is ridiculous. It's actually a ring light that my wife got.
Playing night games?
Yeah.
There we go.
Anybody with nods is dead.
Facts.
Anybody with nods would just be like, I physically can't see for 4 days now. All right. So for those of you who don't know, this is Bludhaven.
Okay.
This is the, so for a little bit of a story time here. When I was a kid getting into Airsoft, I actually ended up with a G36C variant. It was a double eagle. It was cheap. I think it cost like $50-$60 when I was a kid. And I kept that thing for years until it died, like completely died. Like I ran that thing for years. And so as an adult getting back into Airsoft, I've wanted a G36C because I had one when I was a kid. And Ryan from who runs the Rampart games, when we were
Customs, for those who don't know.
Yeah,
He's
Corvus
pretty
Customs.
Awesome company.
I
Check
got
him
to
out.
start sharing his company. But and he does some amazing builds, mostly M4s though. Nothing as cool as this.
Awesome builds, badass accessories. I'll get all my optics and stuff I'm running. I got.
Yeah, I need to get some lights and
Pack
stuff from him, dude.
boxes.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking of getting a light from him for this because his lights are ridiculous. But
They're
and you
nice.
guys know Ryan too. Ryan's been on the show a couple of times.
Those Mark 18 rails he has too, my guy. Oh,
But I don't have an M4.
facts. But for all the rest of us who
But this is better than an M4.
Also
Anyway,
facts.
so but I digress. So as a kid, I had that G36C, and then growing up, I was like, well, I'd really love to have another G36C as an adult because I just know how it runs and a little bit of a nostalgia trip for me. So when we were doing the 250 subscriber giveaway, and that was Ryan from Rampart Airsoft saying, hey, dude, I have a G36C. I was just going to throw it away. Do you want it? I said yes. I then got in touch with Ross, and I was like, man, I was like, I'm working on getting payment to him for Nightmare, which Nightmare is now paid off. But I was working on getting payment to him for Nightmare and making sure that he was square on that before this got paid off. And he calls me and he goes, hey, dude, so I know that you want to have that G36C ready for Chernobyl because this was my Chernobyl gun. This was the event gun that I wanted. And he goes, so here's what you're going to do. When I get a break in my shop, you're just going to bring that thing in. I said, Ross, our schedules are never going to line up. So he ended up here with...
I think it was when we did the...
it was the LZ report. Yeah, that's right. It was the LZ report. So he ends up here with Big Red, and I just handed him the G36C. And boy, did I not realize how hard that thing was going to be to fix. In fact, what you see here is not, in fact, the G36C that I sent to him.
There are some parts of it in there.
Yes.
There are
but
critical components in there.
Just so people can understand what I'm talking about. Everything is clear, guys. There is a battery in it, and I'm going to test fire it for you. And everything's clear. We've already been screwing around with it before the show. I'm not going to worry about iPro because I know everything's clear. So...
That's the one time.
Yeah, we've already been safe with it. So this is semi. And that's about as fast as my hand's going to move right now because I'm too tired. And instead of full auto, I'm not a full auto player. I don't like full auto, with the exception of my SMGs. This is 3-round burst because I wanted safe semi and 3-round. It sounds so good.
I love the Gate Titan.
Dude, it sounds so ridiculously good. So for those of you, this is Bludhaven, and this is a creation from RDD Airsoft Works. And this is I would say 95% custom from you. It's so nice, dude. It's so crisp and clean, and it just sounds good.
Highly customized, it's built to reflect your playstyle. Is how it's put together. So a very fast, a crisp semi-automatic, a gun that is primarily dedicated to semi-automatic use with a bang switch and a fun switch there. Yeah. Focused field play versus indoor play. I mean, it's meant to complement your play style. It's meant to complement you in the rifleman position and the environment that you're playing in.
That's actually, yeah, I forgot you've seen me play a lot.
Chernobyl was actually the field there probably best.
Probably best exemplified what this thing can do.
Super small, it can get in up close and personal, and we all saw your last video. It can obviously clear some range too.
Yeah, actually, those weren't even the best ranges either. The best ranges that I got for the day. The best ranges that I got for the day, and I can hit those ranges consistently. I shut my cameras off 30 seconds before, and I was like, "Screw this! I'm going to turn them back on." And so I turned them back on, and I did not, in fact, get another shot like that the rest of the day.
It's okay. You got it up here, and that's what
dude. It was I had a guy weaving. Like I took out like two of his buddies, and then the guy was like, "Where the hell?" And he saw me, and he had a mask on, but through his mask I could see him go, "How the hell is he shooting me from that far away?" So he started running and weaving, and as he was running and weaving, I ended up just kind of tracking him, and I eventually caught him. All right, so I gave you a JG G36C.
Yep.
What did I end up with? I think I ended up with KWA JG Echo 1 G36C. I have a JG hop-up and a lower.
You do have your lower. That is true. Therefore,
and a JG air nozzle.
Yes, we stuck with, so I'm trying to get the stream back up here for the feed. There we go. What a bunch of babies. Albany.
Oh, Mama Runner's in here. What a bunch of babes.
Not
babies. Babes.
I'm also tired.
Babes,
well,
yes.
Thank you. Hey, where's my wig?
Skylar Grimm, hello.
Where's my wig at, my guy?
I'm not giving you the wig.
Okay.
Before
the live stream, Albany threw one of her wigs at me. Your Mama Runner, for those of you who don't know. And I looked amazing.
So weird.
Anyway, sorry. Back onto your gun, Royce. So, basically what it is, it's still the same. The parts that remain stock in it are your physical gearbox shell. We kept that. We kept...
I thought you got rid of the gearbox shell because of the 6mm bushings.
Oh, you're right. That's right. Yes,
so you went to
it had the 6mm plastic bushings. I didn't have bushings in stock, nor would I be able to get them in before Chernobyl. So we did go over to that other gearbox shell.
That other gearbox shell.
I'm trying to remember what that one came out of. It wasn't the KWA shell.
Wasn't it an Echo 1? I thought it was an Echo 1.
Might have been an Echo 1. Whoever
I
else,
like
it
I
came
said,
out
I
of
think
a G36. So.
I think this thing is. I'm just gonna
it is a bastardized.
It's a KWA JG Echo 1 G36C. So take that as you will.
Anyway, so sorry, lying right off the bat. Woo! I digress.
Right.
So, the parts that we did keep stock in it, I kept the original cylinder head, I kept the original air nozzle, I kept the original hop-up.
Really? The original cylinder head's in there?
90% of the time, cylinder heads, usually they're fine. I mean, I've seen a few where they've blown out.
Is it plastic or metal?
It's your normal, what you'd expect.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But I mean, it's the way I look at it. The cylinder head is there's no signs of wear on it.
I will say this: JG will surprise you sometimes. I've torn
with
open a couple of them, and you look at some of their internal parts, and although they do kind of hang out in the cheaper realm, their resins and stuff that they use for their plastics for some of their gearbox parts they're fairly decent, man. I haven't seen one just ripped to shreds yet.
And it's kind of going back to that cylinder head there. Honestly, of all the parts that I've seen break in a gun, I've seen cylinder heads break. I've seen every part break, even spring guides.
I split one in half on my Scar.
Everybody tell me this.
Dude, I blew the air nozzle, the thing that the air nozzle rides on, air nozzle guide, was blown out the front of it.
Oh, God.
And then I threw a lateral crack all the way down the piston head. I think I compression locked it is what happened. Bad BBs, and it went to shoot a bunch of air, and that air did not
go anywhere,
and it just compression locked. Yeah. So
Give
anyway,
him my wig, she says.
In the Q&A, if you guys want to see Ross with a wig, hang out till the Q&A. I will get it for you during the Q&A.
And the viewership goes through the roof. Anyway, no, cylinder heads, honestly, that is probably the least common part that I've seen break. I've definitely seen them blow up.
Oh, yeah.
It can happen, but 9 times out of 10, they don't.
It takes something stupid like what I did to break them. And it was bad BBs. That's what I did. Bad BBs is what I did.
I mean, so I've seen a lot, actually, with the most common one I see is with the Avalons. When I was working at Airheads doing the repair work on the Avalons, that is actually, ironically, the cylinder head is the least common thing I see break, but it's the most common thing in the Avalon. Bearing in mind, too, that those things get used and abused more those things see more use than most people's guns will see in the entire time they own them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, by no means am I docking the Avalon or VFC there. They do the gun is solid.
I have a VFC, and that is my Scar. And all I have to do is figure out the hop up. And I think that once that is solved, it's going to be the Masada and Wilson, my MP5, are going to kind of be benched for a little bit. This is my new mainstay. 100%. Unless this thing breaks, this is my new mainstay. And if it breaks, I'm just going to throw it at you.
I mean, fair.
I know where you live. I'll just open up the door and I'll just throw it at you from across the room and just walk out. You'll get hit in the head. You'll have no idea what happened. And then when when the vision clears up, you go, G36C. Oh, God.
Facts.
And then you go, Royce, what's wrong with it? I threw it at you. Figure it out. Oh, God.
I'm going to keep the joke to myself.
All right.
I'm going to keep that one to me.
All right.
Anyway. Yeah.
So, okay. So what were the things? So you tear this thing apart. Mm-hmm. We've obviously discussed that there's like 3 different guns in here.
At least.
What was wrong with the
your
thing?
Trigger stock. The trigger stock.
I actually like the feel of that trigger, though. I'm glad you kept it stock. Can we change the trigger to like one of those fancy, like golden looking ones, maybe?
Probably. I've never done it on a G36, but I don't see it'd be an issue, I guess, with the if you set the contacts with the Titan, as long as the part of the trigger that actually pushes on your trolley could get up in there for the light sensor to pick up. I can't see why it wouldn't work.
Well, it should, because they should all be cut in a specific way for G36. I mean, because they'll make specific G36 triggers.
Right. If you can find an aftermarket trigger designed for G36, yeah, absolutely. I thought you were asking, like, can we take one of the blade triggers I have for M4s in the shop?
Oh, no, they should make some. But anyway, so I gave you a JG G36.
You got 3 parts.
Why did I get the KWA Echo 1 JG G36C back?
So, all right, there were a number of reasons why we did what we did. So the upper receiver. Actually, honestly, it all dives down. It really all focuses around the outer barrel. That was the main cause for a lot of this. A lot of what followed was domino effect of having to change the outer barrel. So I think I explained this to you in the shop, when we got the gun, the G36 has, for its barrel assembly, unlike your M4,
it is a screwy barrel, outer barrel. I hate it. I genuinely hate it.
I really love it when it works, because it's just affirmative lock.
Yeah,
like, things don't move, but because of that, it also makes things more complicated if things don't line up perfectly. Hence why M4s are so easy to work on and make aftermarket parts and stuff for, because there's the way they go together. It's what's the term I'm looking for here?
Well, even the Masada is easy. The Scar is easy. The MP5. The MP5 is the hop up's a little funky in that, but still, the MP5 is easy. This is weird.
It's weird the way it goes together. Yes, basically. So with the outer barrel, what they have in there. Your hop-up unit, unlike most rifles, doesn't just slide into place. It slides in, rotated at 90 degrees. There's 2 little tabs on the hop-up unit, and then the barrel, there's 2 channels that line up with those. And your hop-up will slide in, rotate 90 degrees to lock, and then the spring will push it back. In the so it's a 3-part channel, and it doesn't come all the way out. So the hop-up goes in, locks into the barrel, and it doesn't come out. It stays put. And that's ultimately where the problem started. So the outer barrel on this one, that whole section that locks was broken. It's just gone.
Yeah, you showed me that. It was.
And
by broken, it literally just cracked all the way around, and then the back half of it just came off.
And then ended up somewhere. Someone at some point tried to fix it. You know, I don't know if it worked or not, because I didn't test fire it between when I got it and afterwards. We already knew we were going to tear the whole thing apart. So
yeah, well, and that was the goal. It was just tear the thing apart and do what you need to do.
Make it.
Yeah, and I'm a fire. The last 2 guns I've put in your shop. You didn't test fire Nightmare, and you didn't test fire Bludhaven.
I'll test fire something if it's having issues and we just want to fix something. But if it's handed to me and you're, as you said, give it the business.
I gave you the blank.
Okay.
I gave you a blank check. I said make this thing my dream gun.
Make this do.
Yeah, make this do exactly.
Anyway, so digressing back, basically because that part was broken, I replaced the outer barrel to lock it in. Now the problem we ran into, again, was timing. So for those of you who don't know, this gun pretty much Chernobyl was Saturday. I got a chance to start on this thing that Tuesday of that week. So time to order parts was non-existent.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have bought a JG replacement barrel and been hunky-dory. But that's not the options we had. So we had fun, is what we did. So I had a collection of...
That sucks, too, because you ordered those parts so far in advance. You ordered those parts like
yes.
a week after I gave it to you.
Yeah,
I think I gave you, and then I gave you the JGG 36. Because this is not a JG. We're going to just call this the RDD G36.
That works.
Because of what you had to do to it. And I also gave you Convoy Bebops replicas as well, shortly after that, or shortly before that. And you ordered our parts at the same time.
Yep.
Like almost a month before Chernobyl.
And for whatever reason, that one particular order just took forever to come in. Because that wasn't just like a special order for your parts. That was my regular inventory order. And I added a few other parts to it. But it was nothing out of the ordinary. It's your motor, gears, this all the usual stuff.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it took like a month and a half for it to come in. So I got the parts like Monday night.
Yeah.
Tuesday morning. I'm like, okay, it's go time. Anyway, so that set us back too. But basically, replace the outer barrel. KWA outer barrel doesn't like JG upper. Okay, we got a KWA upper. I've got 4 of them laying in the shop. Can't do anything with them. Okay, put that in. So now we have a barrel assembly that matches. By coincidence, your lower receiver did fit. So it's like, okay, perfect.
Which is great. There's a little bit you can see on it. There's a little bit of difference, but not enough to notice and not enough for me to care. Right. And like we're talking minute. Like you have to stare at this thing as much as I stared at this thing and pet this thing.
To see it.
And possibly.
You're going to have to show me after the stream.
It's minute. I'll show you. I'll definitely show it to you.
You talking about the seam where the two mesh?
I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you because I can. Yeah, but I'll show you. And you'll understand.
Anyway.
But yeah, and it's so minute. It doesn't even the fact that they fit together that well. Yeah. It's just like damn.
I'll say this: the companies are getting better at maintaining compatibility between each other, which is nice to see. Makes their job
and especially KWA being such a high-end brand and JG being a fairly low-end or even beginner brand. I would say JG is not low-end. We call those Walmart beginner guns. Brand. JG entry is level. Definitely entry-level. But for KWA being a high-end brand, and that upper is nice. I like the polymers that upper is built from.
That upper is from one of the 2 G36s I bought off of Matt. Big Red. The handguard is off of my personal KWA from 10 years ago.
Yep.
For, ironically, the whole reason my G36 was down as long as it was for the exact same reason or issues that I thought I was going to run into with yours. And we ended up solving that problem. I was telling you the hop-up meshing. We'll get into that in a little bit here.
Yeah.
But
that was when you told me that was collection. Genius, dude.
I'm just glad I figured it out. At some point, I need to get on the forums and post that and be like, guys, this is how you fix it. You know, because I know there's other people out there with the same problem. KWA, for those who don't know, KWA discontinued at least this version of the G36 almost 5 years ago.
Elite Force has the rights to it now. So
do they? Right.
Yeah, Elite Force has that because H&K. Elite Force has the rights to pretty much almost all H&Ks. I don't want to say all, but every H&K that I know on the market is either Elite Force or VFC, which is. VFC does the body and then Elite Force does the internals. So
I remember now actually thinking back, I reached out to see if I could get parts for the rifle. I reached out to KWA. I believe it was Elite Force that they sent me to. That sounds right. Yeah. And when I reached out to them, they're like, yeah, we can't get parts of that rifle. We don't make them. We don't have them. We have no desire to. We just own the new G36. Yeah. Which is made, the new G36, it's the Elite Force one, so it is all standard compatible with everything else on the market as far as I know. But anyway, the KWA G36s are, in a sense, proprietary. Specifically, their hop-up chamber, their outer barrel for the hop-up, and their air nozzle are all different dimensions from everybody else. And what ends up happening, if you try to put a standard TM-compatible hop-up unit into a KWA G36, you end up with a gap about that big between the tip of your air nozzle and the tip of your bucking. Everything is shifted forward, and that track I was talking about in the outer barrel is shorter. So the parts just don't fit together, usually.
Yeah.
And that's why my G36 was down for so long. And now I'm missing parts for it.
Thank you, by the way.
It's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd rather see you playing
he's
with it.
He's gouging me on the price. He trust me. I'm paying him for
I
it.
am not.
No, you're
Get
not.
outta
No,
here.
you're not. No, you're not. Actually, for the work that you did and some of the custom stuff you had to do, I'm surprised that's all I had to pay. I thought I was going to be well above that. I thought I was going to be at least $50 to $75 north of what you quoted me. At least.
Try to keep it cheap, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you break it apart. The JGG36 is just the barrel assembly is wrong. I think you said there was body pins that were wrong.
Most you knew this too when you got it. Most of the pins are missing. Some of the hardware, some of the screws that hold things together were missing. Some of the hardware on the outside of the gearbox for the fire selector system was missing.
Yep.
Yeah, this is all stuff that, again, as Ryan told you, he was planning on just throwing it out.
Yeah.
At that point. So, but that G36 did give us the key parts we needed to finish this project. So,
which is really cool. Okay,
huge win.
Okay, so we merged. So far, we're talking about a KWA and a JG, and I think Big Red was telling me that you threw like an Echo 1 something in there. Maybe the gearbox shell. Maybe the gearbox shell was from an Echo 1.
If anything, Echo 1, it's the gearbox shell, because inside the gearbox, there's nothing left other than, as I said, the cylinder head, the air nozzle, and the hop-up unit. I kept those three parts.
Yeah.
Those three parts are known to mesh and work together.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they aren't technically compatible inside of this body, those three parts work together. It isn't broken. Let's not fix it. And the results speak for themselves.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. They absolutely do. Okay, so now we get into the thing that this is like like when you told me this, because people are like, you're not really able to do this thing. You can't do this thing. This doesn't work this way. You were able to take the JG hop-up.
Yep.
And the KWA outer barrel and get them to work together.
Yep.
And that is what I want you to talk about.
Okay.
Okay, so so the KWA has a shorter track. You can't really fit it in there. There's a gap for the air nozzle.
It all fits. All the parts fit. Just the dimensions are physically different. So we end up with a broken microphone, apparently. There we go. You end up with, as you just said, there's a large gap. When your air nozzle comes all the way forward, there's still a couple millimeters of space between the front of the the hop-up unit, or the front of the bucking where it's supposed to seal, and the end of your air nozzle. So all your air goes down. Mm-hmm. That was the issue when my KWA, when it broke, my hop-up unit actually shattered in the cold.
Oof.
At least this is what I understand. That was like 8-9 years ago. I was first really starting to grasp an idea of how airsoft guns work. At that point, I had just gained the confidence to go into my guns and work on them. So, from what I understood back in my younger days, that's what had happened. Is it hop-up shattered in the cold, just a fluke incident. And when I tried to replace it with just another hop-up unit, not realizing there was proprietary things at the time, I didn't know proprietary was a thing. I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. A few years later, I started figuring out, and at that point, the parts are no longer available. But in reading forums and going through, every forum that I looked in, every forum I commented on, everything I searched, pretty much the overall consensus was this is impossible. The KWA needs KWA parts. Other G36s need everything other than KWA parts. The two aren't compatible. Now, has this been done before? I'm guarantee someone's probably figured this out too. There's got to be someone else who's done it. Just no one's posted publicly about it.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's preface with that is this is what we discovered. This is what we were able to do. Up until as of present day, I have yet to find any information on anybody else saying they've done this successfully. Mm-hmm. So, if that's still the case, I'm going to post an article on this to get that information out there for the rest of us suffering.
Right.
But basically, what I did, the fix itself was actually fairly simple once I figured out what was going on. So inside, like I said, there's a track that the hop-up unit it'll slide into the barrel, it'll rotate 90 degrees to lock, and then it'll slide back into its locking channel, and it stays there. Mm-hmm. And to take it out, you got to push it forward, rotate it, and pop it back out. So what we did, using just a file, went in and basically extended the locking track all the way out, so the part slides in and out like an M4. The barrel doesn't lock in anymore, but those two knobs, the
guide rails.
Yes, the two nubs. Even though the guide rails aren't the backstop on the guide rails in there, so the hopper doesn't lock into the barrel anymore. It'll come out if you pull the gearbox out. Those guide rails are still engaged inside, so the hop-up can't rotate. Okay, So that allows the hop up to come back. Now, just letting it come all the way back against the gearbox face makes everything too short. It won't feed. Your nozzle can't come back far enough, and trimming your nozzle leads to other issues.
Oh, yeah.
So what we then did is shimmed the hop unit forward. What I did, I used old credit cards and usually old hotel key cards. Are amazing shimming material for all sorts of different things. Just thickening stuff up. Shims for your trigger, for shortening trigger stroke. Shims for your safety levers. Shims for your hop up. Tons of uses. So what we did is we made a shim using a piece of a credit card. The thickness of the one piece was perfect. Stuck that on the back of the hop up unit, and basically the top of the hop up unit engaged with the top of the gearbox. Something like this, actually, I got to give credit to whoever worked on that gun last, whether it was Ryan or the person who owned it before. I got to give credit to them, because that idea of shimming the hop up forward, somebody had already tried to do that for, I'm guessing because the barrel had broken and there was nothing to hold it in place, they were running into similar issues.
So they were trying to hold the hop up forward.
They were trying to shim it forward. They used it. It looked like the M-nub material. It was old. It was old and worn out, but it looked like M-nub material. And that's what actually gave me the idea to try shimming this thing, to cut the guardrails and shim it forward. And I'll be damned, it worked. It worked well.
Dude, it works great.
I'm really hoping you're going to you're going to do the test of time for us, but
well, and that's the thing. And if it's like, okay, so all of a sudden it just stops working, the first thing that we can think of is, all right, well, the piece of credit card that was glued there is no longer glued there. And it takes glue another piece of credit card.
Exactly. We can test it without even taking the gun apart. Pull the charging handle back. You can see the back of the hop up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, you weren't exactly gentle on this at Chernobyl either, and it's still shooting like a beast. So.
Did you? You saw me.
Oh,
running.
I saw you. I ran right with you. It was a blast. BT Dubs, Jason. Chernobyl was a genuine blast. I was just way too tired and not out of it to like.
Admittedly, we might have dehydrated ourselves on Friday night a little too much.
All of the above. I'm pretty sure almost every viewer in that podcast was drunk too. Let's be honest. That was after hours.
There was a lot of beer last weekend. There was a lot of.
It was the After Hours podcast, so, the Adult Swim, if you will.
So,
but the Chernobyl was a blast, guys. If you didn't go, definitely look into doing it next year. Josh, Jason, I'm sorry. Really great job. Your staff were awesome. You guys were awesome. The fact that the event was done on such a we're here for the community base just. That hits home. It really does.
We're gonna work with Jason to do a wintertime event.
If that happens, that would be legit.
Dude, it's gonna be. We'll try to block off just like a whole Saturday for it, just like a winter.
Yes.
So we're gonna work with Jason
really
Malak to get. We were already talking about we might call it like, assuming they'll let us, Chernobyl 6.5, Chernobyl 6.5.
Fallout, the nuclear winter.
like nuclear winter, because at the end of the game, a nuke went off.
And somehow white team's still alive, even though we were 20 feet from it.
Well, again, white team's children. We'll figure something out.
I don't. No, I'm saying like we all lived, but a nuke went off.
It was a great game. It was a great game. So and you guys are gonna see the footage of this thing. Admittedly, video number 3 is a lot of me dying. I did not do good in the later part of Chernobyl. This thing, however, there's only one thing that disappointed me with this thing here. And it was the damn EOTech losing batteries.
Yes.
I was
You were pissed.
so angry because so this EOTech was actually set up for my SCAR. But I needed a sight for this thing for the weekend. So I threw the EOTech on. Turned it on, took a couple shots in my backyard into my shed, which is ballpark 50, 65 feet away. You know where it is. From the door.
I have no depth
from my
perception.
kitchen door. From my kitchen door, it's 50, 65. That's right.
Probably something like that.
And wherever I put that dot is exactly where the BBs went. I did not have to sight in the EOTech. I just put it on the spot of the replica where I was like, okay, it looks coolest here. I will now have to. It looks
over functionality. I love it.
I was like, well, because I mean, the EOTech has a lot of functionality. So just depending on my own preferences, I can, windage. It's got windage and elevation adjustments, so I can obviously take care of that. So I wasn't worried about wherever this thing sits. I wanted to make sure that it was good, and it died. Admittedly, I will say this: it functioned so ridiculously well. Night games, it functioned great.
Night games.
I was not able to fully test it out in the night games because we did play it safe a few times, and then the times we didn't play it safe, you walked back with me once or twice.
It was a good time.
I accidentally threw this thing into full auto, my fault, and full auto day zombie, like that far. Well, full auto, 3-round burst, but I was ripping 3-round burst like it was semi. So
fun thing about the Titan, if you spam the trigger in burst fire, it just keeps going.
Yeah, supposedly. And so turns out it was actually the event coordinator's son who was playing a zombie. He took it like a champ. I felt so bad. I did call myself out on that one and walked away. But
Yes,
damn it,
yes,
if
you
I
did.
wasn't just like, wow, that's what that thing does on 3-round.
Yeah, after the fact, you were saying, like, after you're, like, all apologizing to Jason and everything. Like, oh my
dude,
God, I'm so
I
sorry.
literally, like, the guy popped out of the doorway and he startled me. A couple of those zombies, dude, they would just pop out and you were like, oh. And
Hey, how are you?
and
Good now.
and it would happen. And those, and the volunteers, oh my God, God bless the volunteers because they surprised a couple people, obviously myself included in this. And when they go, and just pop out of a corner, people were like, oh shit. Like we did not take it easy on the zombies.
Like, they took it easy on us.
Towards the end of the night, dude, that got rough. That was hard. They were coming in from all different directions. The zombies were learning. They were using different tactics. The zombies had flashlights, which I really loved that because you couldn't tell friend from foe. And that made it interesting to me that you could not tell was this just another team running the zombie event or were these zombies?
It was.
And I loved that. I thought that was so great.
Right, remember we were out in the middle of the field. We were just starting to make our first U-turn to come back because we'd gone down to one end of the field, down where the second punch card was. We just made our U-turn. We're sitting there, and Red sees 2 players walking towards us with flashlights. And he's like, Ross, on the nods, what are they? I'm looking, and I can't see the lights either. We just start yelling at him, turn your lights off, and like we're yelling, like, got them at gunpoint. And this poor young kid was just a little kid and his brother, I think it was. They lowered their.
That had his light up here, and
they turned their lights off and lowered their guns, like freaking out. We're like, okay, they're not zombies. Come on, guys, come roll with us. They rolled with us the rest of the time. It was
That's awesome, dude.
Like that kid
Dude,
was just
I
what?
legit. So I am looking into here within the next month. I will have a tracer unit for this thing because I promised you that, and even before I have a tracer unit, I will absolutely run night games.
Can you play next Saturday? Not. Oh, actually, can you play tomorrow night?
No. We gotta. Yeah, we're getting ready for the barbecue. I got a bunch of cleanup.
Next Saturday.
Probably.
Consider. Keep it in mind. Keep it up here.
Oh, no.
Albany's out of town.
Ooh, bring the army.
Bring the army. Right? I'd have to figure that one out.
We got enough guns between the 6 of us.
They're not 10 yet, though. But ultimately, dude,
Yeah, true.
this thing here, it looks good. And that's my favorite thing about the G36 is it's just a good-looking replica. My little $20 light did well that night. This here, I love this.
Yeah, this was a joke. This is a muzzle brake I made. It wasn't even that. It's more of just like a barrel,
It was
barrel
like a
end.
thread protector.
Basically, yeah, it was meant to go on the end of
But
a
essentially,
of a bar
it's just
10.
this little circle. Here, let me get closer.
It was made to, like you said, protect the threads and look natural on the end of like a bar 10 or an M700 until the customer who bought the gun had a chance to put the suppressor on. And I made this one, I didn't like it, so I made another one for him. I saw it laying there. I was like, I'm just going to put this on to be funny, see what his face does.
Yeah, so he put it on there to just be funny. And in my head, I kind of already knew that I was going to have this set up. And I was like, I love that thing. I want it. And Ross was like, okay. He was like, wait, my joke failed. He actually likes it.
I was just kind of looking at you for a second.
Yeah,
you know the meme. Just the.
It's just short. It's stubby. I love it. It's, it feels great. There's no wobble to it with the exception of that stupid drum mag. Oh, by the way, that's the tolerances that I was talking. Actually, I did show you this.
Oh, okay.
Because you can actually see into the gearbox.
Yeah, no, I see. So you're talking about the seam here between the upper and lower. Okay.
Yeah, or between the pistol grip and the rest of the housing.
You ever seen that on your? Ever seen that with M4s? The grip going up into the, where your grip the seam where your motor grip meshes with your lower receiver.
Oh yeah, so
You get that a lot there too.
Yeah, but I mean, outside of that, I think it was a little tighter with the JG, obviously. But I mean, this works great. Like I said, this thing here, you did 13-1 gears.
Yep.
That trigger response is nice. Admittedly, not the motor you wanted to use, but the motor that we got is crisp and snappy.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually more satisfied with the motor that's in there now than what we normally use. Just so what it has in it, it's got an ASG Infinity 22K motor.
Mm-hmm. I have heard the ASG motors are actually really reputable. That
ASG
just seems
makes
to be
a solid motor.
Mm-hmm.
ASGs, the ASG boosts. My main go-to motors for most of the builds we use are the SHS high torque motors and the ASG boost motors. Price for quality for what you get, it fits a lot of people's budget, and the motors outperform what you're paying for them. They get the job done great. They're there's parts available for them when they wear out.
We already did it in the beginning, but just for everybody, I mean, here's the motor. I physically can't go faster than that. My hand is, I'm tired. And then obviously 3-round burst.
And the burst is actually where you'd notice the difference. So with the 30K motors, they're a little bit quicker. Your trigger response in semi-auto would stay the same, but your full auto, I know, is a little bit faster on the 30K motors.
Yeah.
So that's where you'd see the difference. But in terms of what I really want to know, Royce, actually, I want you, when you're playing, really pay attention to your battery life and let me know how long your batteries are lasting.
I use the same battery for 2 days.
Did you have to charge it at all, or did you recharge? Really? Good to know.
It's a little puffy because I might have left it in the sun. And I might have worked the hell out of that battery. You'll see. Oh, dude, I actually interchanged between 3-round and 3-round and semi for a lot of Chernobyl. If I was like, man, I just can't get this angle on this guy, but I know he's gonna pop, I just accuracy by volume, just plap plap. Just 2 of them, and people were like, yep, I'm good, I'm done. Well, and I used it definitely more before I figured out. Well, I also had to break the hop up in at Chernobyl too.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Because I was like, man, the hop up, I was like, the hop up's being weird. What the hell, And when you're just going plink, 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 when you're just doing that in the backyard, you're like, okay, whatever. It shoots great.
You don't notice.
But when you're doing rapid succession and all of a sudden you're like, okay, there's definitely some variation there. The hop up needed to break in. Once the hop up broke in, though, noticeable difference between how it performed before the hop up broke in and after. And
as per usual, G&G green bucking. They're a hard bucking. That's one of the reasons I like them so much.
Well, it takes anywhere from I've heard, depending on the bucking, and there's a really wide variance, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 BBs before a bucking will break. And if you're playing in the cold and you're breaking a bucking in the cold, good luck.
Yeah.
Breaking a bucking in the cold, I have no sympathy or want to do that myself.
Gonna side with you on that one and say hard facts.
It's just the cold already just expands the buckings themselves. It just hardens up that rubber. So, but no, I'm so thrilled.
One of the things I love about the G&G greens is they're damn near immune to the cold.
Yeah.
They really, really like the cold. Like they handle it. If when you look them up, you go to buy the part online anywhere, 90% of websites say G&G cold resistant green buckings. And I'll be damned, that's not a marketing gimmick. Those buckings, granted, over the past
what resin
years,
they're using for it.
I have no
or
idea.
Polymer or whatever they're.
I'm not even going to pretend to know because I have no freaking clue.
That would be interesting to know something that's cold resistant.
I will say what I have noticed over the years, especially when you flat hop.
By the way, because you were yelling at me at Chernobyl for how I was running that flashlight.
Was I yelling at you?
Okay, yeah, because you were like, Royce, admittedly, you were letting me run an expensive flashlight on my nephew's replica, but this is how I ran this one.
Oh, I was yelling at you for stretching my wires.
Yeah, and so
that's just personal preference. I just didn't want my wires stretched. Because then it screws with me when I go to use it on my gun.
And then here's what I did too: Velcro patch, and then Velcro on the back here, so it doesn't come off.
Nice.
And that way, it's just, and I mean, it's you can feel it. It's solid on there.
I was playing with it out here before the podcast. All right.
You got to feel it, dude. I will say this. It is front heavy as hell, and I want to get a KV stock for it. I want
like I can actually see out of this eye.
Right.
Actually, kind of can a little.
It feels good, though, dude.
It's getting there.
13-to-1 gears, version 3 Gate Titan, which we're going to make a couple of adjustments on the Gate Titan. I think I want the brake right now is at 25% for the brake on the trigger.
It's at increment 25 of like 125 settings you can do. You have
so
available
there's
to you. So he's talking
ready,
about
pulling.
Do it from behind your thumb so they can see the trigger. When he's talking about the break point, so the Titan will read the position of the trigger, and when it hits a certain point, which we programmed in, it'll tell the gun to fire.
Pulling. There it is.
So right now, as he said, we have it set roughly 25% of the overall travel.
I think I want to go down to 15.
We can do that.
And do about 3/4 of what it is now. But so pulling. There it is. Pulling. Yeah. So that's a decent amount of travel. Shorten that up a little bit, and then obviously because of the full auto incident, we're gonna make this thing the version 3 Gate Titan will make it to where until I throw this thing in fun mode all the way down intentionally, it won't actually go into fun mode.
Yeah,
so we're going to adjust that.
Again, it reads. There's a light sensor inside the Titan, and there's a sticker on the selector plate. And as that sticker slides back and forth, it covers and opens the sensor. Basically, the sensor actually reads the percentage of light intensity on it. So you can dial in. I love the V3s. I don't know why they don't do it on the V2s, but I wish they would. It'd be super cool.
Version 3s were newer, and so newer technology came out.
Facts.
That's got to be the only reason that it's so much better than the V2s.
I haven't seen if they did it with. I haven't. I did get those Astras in. I haven't had a chance. I haven't put one in a gun yet, so I'm curious to see if.
I have a scar.
I want to see if they did the.
I have a scar.
He's a scar. I have an Aster.
Okay, let's rock it.
Let's
Let's work on this one. Let's work on this guy here, and then we'll open up the scar. You'll have to do some special wiring for it.
We can do.
You know the wiring I'm talking about.
Are you talking? It's got the pins that
Yep.
the buttons that go together.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
You'll
easy
have to
enough.
do some special wiring for it, but outside of that, God, I love this. I love this thing, dude. This
Bryce is
this is
screaming
the
himself.
most natural that an airsoft gun has ever felt in my hands because I grew up on a G36C. I know the G36C platform incredibly well, and I feel like I can just run it and perform with it. It's not an incredibly long replica, and outside of that, man, is there anything else you want to say about Bludhaven before we get over to Q&A?
I'm really proud of that rifle, and it genuinely brings me a lot of happiness to see how much you're enjoying.
Dude, I
it.
love this thing so much.
I love it. Yeah, English. Learn to speak it, child. Full disclosure, I knew you wanted the rifle. I knew you told me countless times how much this rifle meant to you, how much you wanted this gun, how the nostalgic value it had to you, and so I knew you'd be excited to get it. But seeing like how excited you are to have it, like how much of a just inner child keeps coming out.
Oh, the inner child, yeah.
It's
I love it, man.
As I've said, I do this because I enjoy it, not because it makes a lot of money, because it doesn't. I enjoy doing it, and it's this right here. This right here makes it all worth it.
It's so great.
Makes every minute worth it.
So great, dude. I love this thing. All right, guys, if you have any Q&A for RDD Airsoft Works about a replica that you need work done on it, let's go into the Q&A section right now.
It's a short podcast. Just keeping this one tame.
I'm exhausted, man. I physically just don't have the energy right now to be where I'm normally. You obviously you know where my presentation is normally.
Not sure if the chat's just not loading for me, or if it's just not very active tonight.
Or the stream totally went down and we just have no idea.
That'd be awkward.
No. The chat's just not very active.
Fair enough. Skylar did ask,
okay,
what do you think of a Mark 20 for the DMR class?
I think the Mark 20 for DMR class is what I actually want, but I don't have one. Is it?
I'm going to Google that and see if that is the rifle I'm thinking of before I give any kind of an answer. Make sure it's an educated one.
Is it the... It's the SR. It's the long scar.
Ah, this thing. Yes. For a DMR class, as long as it's compatible with parts of the market.
I also believe it's a version 2.5.
2 or a 2.5?
I think it's a 2.5. I think. Don't quote me on that. They've done a couple different. So yeah, Skylar. I think a SCAR, any sort of a SCAR heavy. For me personally, you need to be running 7.62, 308,
yeah.
large caliber magazines for a DMR. I am a stickler on that. That's why my DMR is an M14.
Yep,
Which,
I'm with you on that one.
Like
there's
you can turn anything into a DMR for Airsoft. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're actually going to talk about class separation for Airsoft specifically, because I know there are going to be people that might see this eventually and be like, no, because this one uses a 223. And shut up. No. For Airsoft, guys, we're talking about air. We have. Oh, dude, I hate those people. We have to separate the replicas somehow. And so to separate any other DMR from any other M4, it's got to have a different caliber magazine. For me personally, I think that Mark 20 with that SCAR. Oh.
Yeah.
Oof.
No, I think I'd be. You would definitely have one of the more unique replicas out in the field. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
It'd be a very unique replica.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they make a Mark 20 for Airsoft. I'm not sure if you'd have to convert a 17 over or if. Skylar, let me know if they actually make one.
What's
or I'll
that
go look
one
it up
SCAR
later.
H? That SCAR H. Oh, they make one. It's a SCAR anyway.
Completely agree with you on the large caliber rifles. 'Cause it's the way I've looked at it over the years. It's like this. You can make an argument that the M27 IAR is a support gun because for real steel purposes, it was just developed to be a support gun.
No. Well,
It was developed to be.
it was, but it failed
be.
in such a spectacular fashion that they were like, we'll use it as a DMR because we paid a lot of money for it. That's essentially what happened. Is they paid a lot of money for the M27 IAR. I detest that thing. I think it's bullshit in Airsoft. It's an M4. There's nothing that tells it apart in Airsoft from anything else. For instance, I want a full-length G36, which in the real world they're known as MG36s, machine gun 36s by H&K, with a nutsack mag or a drum mag or any kind of high capacity mag. That would be perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've talked with Fields and I've spoken with people about rule sets. That would be perfectly fine as a support.
And the key thing is you've got to have something that something that separates it or makes it. For lack of better terms, you had to go through more effort in order to acquire this setup. Not necessarily financially, but it took more effort. ESR 25 uses a larger magazine. You have to build your kit for that.
Skylar Grimm, which, by the way, Skylar will be up here for the barbecue.
Oh, really? Skylar, can't wait to see you, my guy.
RDD, what about an MP5 SD6? And yes, they do make a Mark 20.
I need to check that out.
MP5 SD6, I love them.
What are you asking? Like, what do I think of the gun? Do I like what's the question here?
If you're gonna build an MP5, build it one jewel.
If you're asking if
you're
we
gonna
can
build
make
an
it a
MP5,
DMR, no,
not as a DMR. If you're gonna build an MP5, build it as a one jewel build.
Facts.
And go in and
GSG
just
it.
Dude, I would totally GSD an MP5. Just that short platform. I don't think mine would stand up to it. Mine's a little old.
I mean, all your stress is in your gearbox, the shell itself, and all that. If it's
version 2.
Total. MP5 is version 2. MP5K is version 3. There is there is difference between the two.
Yeah. But no, I love the MP5 SD6. In fact, I actually got rid of my MP5 SD6 full stock to Big Red Airsoft.
Oh wait, he's also saying SD, not MP5K. I misread that.
SD6.
SD, that's the one with the large integrated suppressor built around the handguard.
Nephew's.
Your nephew has,
Yep.
right?
I had one. Big Red bought mine.
Did he?
But mine's got the full stock. That's Barry.
Barry.
He won't call it Barry, but I told him to call it Barry. Because
here's
the thing: is we had Barry, and then we had Wilson, and when you put them together, they were Barry Wilson.
Here's a question for
I don't know
three
why.
people in the Q&A. What do you name your gun? What have you named all your guns? I've only named 3 of them.
The Masada and the Scar really don't have names. The MP5 I just called Wilson. I don't know why. I had both of the MP5s there, and I was like, I'm gonna name them together. They are Barry Wilson. So both of the MP5s were Barry Wilson. And so now I have Wilson and Red has Barry. And then obviously you actually named Nightmare.
I named Nightmare. Yeah.
Unintentionally, but you actually named Nightmare.
And then obviously we have Bludhaven.
I
have
semi-quick super quiet and semi-quick rate of fire on single. I think you can accomplish that with an MP5.
Yeah.
Especially if you do a 1 joule.
With anything.
If you do a 1 joule build, you're gonna keep a lot of that gearbox noise down.
Yep.
Trust me, dude. I have 1 joule builds. I love 1 joule builds. I love them. A lot of people, but there's not a lot of power. My 1 joule build outranges most Crytacs. I don't know what. We need to look at my MP5.
It's not broken. We're not fixing it.
No, we need to find out what it is.
As in the brand, or?
Somebody alluded to me that there's a strong possibility I might have ended up with a Tokyo Marui MP5.
Should have trademarks on it, but we can look. We should definitely look.
I see no trademarks anywhere.
Not even a TM stamp.
What if they were painted? If it's old,
I don't know if TM.
I don't know, dude. I have no idea.
There should be a TM logo on there somewhere. If it's Tokyo Marui.
I would say if you want to do Skylar, absolutely. I am a fan of 1 joule builds, and as long as you do the hop up properly, guys, I'm hitting 200 feet with a 0.25 gram out of Wilson. You've seen it. Even Big Red saw it. He was like, "Holy crap!" He was like, "Cause I shot. I had him look over my shoulder. He goes, yeah, man, that's pretty good range." Because, Red. And I think he had store that day or something like that.
Yep.
And he goes, yeah, man, that's pretty good range. I was like, Red? He goes, yeah. I'm like, this is a 1 joule build with 0.25s. And he goes, holy crap.
Yeah.
He was like.
All of a sudden, the whole level of impressiveness changes.
The level of impressiveness. No, we were standing about center of white wall, and I was dropping 20 feet shy of rust bus at 1 joule.
Damn.
Right? You know where that... So you come... There's that little mound, like, right before rust bust. I was dropping, like, right on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah. At 1 joule, which is 330 feet a second on a 0.2.
Damn.
Yeah.
They've said before. They've said it. Power isn't everything. It really isn't.
It's really not.
It can help.
I don't know how I got lucky. I paid $60 for that thing on Craigslist. I don't know how I got that lucky, but I did.
Like I said, be grateful. It ain't broke. Don't fix it.
Oh no. Well, and like I said, the Masada will not ever end up on your table. That's my baby. When the Masada breaks, I tear into it and I figure it out. And I put some money into that thing to make sure that I got the parts that are going out of style. So. But yeah, you can absolutely, if you want a quick rate of fire, I would say a 1 joule build with a high torque motor.
With the right gears. Otherwise, go standard torque, standard gears.
13 to 1 on a 1 joule is not going to be a lot of stress. Keep in mind, you're
but
only
you
talking.
Got to be careful.
Depending on air seal, you might be at an M90.
You got to be careful with pre-engagement, though. You might have to short stroke, which on a gun that short with a barrel that short, really isn't going to hurt anything.
I would tighten it. I would.
Even then, it's not. So the Titan itself can help, but it's not what controls that. Your spring itself, if it's not strong enough or if it's not stiff enough, it won't send the piston forward fast enough before the gears finish their cycle and start coming around for the next one, and you can catch that piston.
But 1 joule you should be able to catch fast enough.
Should.
And you don't have to do an incredibly high torque motor.
It's not even the motor. It's the speed that the gears are rotating.
That's
which,
right.
yeah, I guess is the motor. But the high torque motor itself, what the torque does
let's
is
say this. So there's 18
up,
to 1s, there's 13 to 1s. There's something right in the middle between 18 and 13.
18, 16, 13, 12s, 10s.
Okay.
And then you can go above 18 too, but not for these purposes, you would not want to go above 18.
I would say 16s probably.
16s
if you really are worried about pre-engagement, but that would be something to test.
And then I will say this too, Skylar. So when it comes to quiet, if that is the main thing,
Rangefinder Airsoft, what's going on, man? Directly from Brazil.
What's up,
Thank you so much for tuning into this Rangefinder. I hope that you are having a wonderful evening. Brazil should be in a very similar time zone to what we're here, if not in front of us. I hope you're having a good time tonight.
They're just below us.
Yes.
Anyway, Skylar, sorry, we keep getting we are like gerbils with our attention span. It's fantastic.
No, but it is interesting to talk about that, to figure it out, because eventually I do want to work on my MP5 when it breaks.
If you want quiet though, the full disclosure, nothing is gonna beat HPA. You go with an HPA system, a jack, a Wolverine,
especially with
a
that
Fusion engine,
especially with that SD style,
and it's
can
if you can pack the suppressor with foam, yeah, you can get those things obnoxiously quiet, like obnoxiously quiet. We had our team back in New York, our designated marksman, this rifle was obnoxious. Honestly, this thing belonged in Airsoft Heretics, but the gun performed and it looked amazing. Our team commander was our designated marksman, and he had this Mark 18, your 10-inch Mark 18, extended the freaking thing out all the way out to your 20-inch full-length M16 barrel, and then put a 13-inch hollow mock suppressor on it, packed with foam. Oh my God, you could hear the solenoids click over the muzzle report. It was obnoxiously quiet. It's a long barrel. He was running, I think he was running 4s out of it. He had the air tuned down. He had his PSI and his dwells tuned perfectly for the rifle. So he was running absolute minimal amount of air necessary. And then a 13-inch long foam suppressor, foam-filled suppressor. He baffled it, or not baffled. He spaced the foam in it. So you had foam, air pocket, and that's what catches that air and stops your sound. So he had it spaced out, and dude, I swear to God, there were days you could hear the solenoids click over the muzzle report.
That's ridiculous.
It was obnoxious.
That's ridiculous.
It was obnoxious. I miss that gun. He still has it too. It's great.
All right. Well, Mama Runner is tuning in, telling me that I do in fact need to be a dad. So I think at this point we might be done.
What would be the EST? I can't read today.
Let's see it.
What would be the EST in something like that if I already owned? What would be the estimate in? I'm confused. I'm very tired.
I don't actually see what you're talking. I don't see the comment.
Skylar Grimm's comment. It's probably something really straightforward, and I'm just not. It's just not clicking.
Estimate in something like that if I already owned it. Anything HPA is going to be pricey, buddy.
$300 to $400 to convert.
Anything HPA is going to be pricey. AEG, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you. I mean, AEG is just going to be loud. If you want something quiet, you got to go HPA.
Yeah, well, if the primary goal, like the main objective is quiet, no matter what you do to an AEG, I mean, I've heard some amazing builds. There are some techs out there who are incredibly talented with Sorbo, and will go even above and beyond what I do to shim. Like, you're shimming. Sorbo really helps with sound. Pretty much anything you can do to knock noise out. I've heard of people packing like foam and stuff around their gearboxes to quiet them down. There's ways to do it, but in the end, even after all that effort, a well-tuned HPA unit with a foam-filled suppressor is going to, it's going to be quieter.
Yep.
It's going to be quieter, and there's nothing you're going to do. There's nothing.
That on an SD, dude.
Like,
that on an SD6.
Skylar, you've shot your M40 a number of times. You've heard how quiet that thing is. HPA can get even quieter than that. That's saying something. Skylar's M40 is quiet.
Well, there you go. All right, guys. I am going to cut the Q&A here because Mama Runner's in the chat, and I do need to, in fact, be a daddy runner right now.
Speaking of children.
Apparently, somebody got decked. There's a tooth out. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed this live stream. My name has been Royce. I am your runner, and this is Ross with RDD Airsoft Works. If you guys want to know what he is all about, go to the link in the description below and click on the link for his Facebook page and go get some work done for yourself. I am extremely happy with the 2 replicas that I have completed by him, and there's a possibility he's going to work on a hop-up of mine right now. I'm going to kick him in the knee. I'm going to break his leg.
Looks like I'm working on a hop-up tonight. Guys, I look forward to seeing you all in the field. Look forward to playing with you all again.
Yeah, and until next time, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed this. This has been Runner. Take it easy, and we'll see you guys out on the field.